He hears it again, his name, coming from somewhere off the trail. And this time, it's closer. Same voice, same tone. But now, it's behind him. He turns around, and there's no one there.
Yeah, if I hear someone calling my name in the woods, I ain't turning around.
Well, honestly, that's probably the right move. But here's the thing, he didn't. And that's when he realized the voice calling his name sounded exactly like his brother. The problem is, his brother wasn't anywhere near those woods. And what makes this whole thing unsettling is that this is not a new kind of story. Stories like this have been reported for years, especially in places like the Appalachian Trail, where people claim they've heard voices that should not exist. Tonight, we're talking about one of the most terrifying cryptids lurking in the woods. So stay tuned, because you won't want to miss this one. If you've ever been deep in the woods, completely alone, you know that there's a certain kind of quiet that doesn't feel peaceful. It's the kind of quiet where you start noticing everything. The way your footsteps sound louder than they should. The way the wind moves through the trees, and the way even silence feels heavy. And then imagine breaking that silence with a human voice that shouldn't be there.
Yeah, that's when the hike is over.
Yup, that's when it stops feeling like nature and starts feeling like something is off. There's a pattern that shows up across these reports. People don't just hear noises, they hear voices. And not just any voices. Voices they recognize. A friend, a family member, someone they trust. And almost every time, it's coming from somewhere it shouldn't. One account of such experience comes from a hiker who was very experienced and not new to the trail, walking through a quiet section of the forest late in the day. Nothing unusual, just trying to finish out his miles. And then he hears it. His brother's voice, calling his name from somewhere off the trail. Now here's what makes this part disturbing. His brother wasn't there, wasn't nearby, wasn't even in the same state. But the voice? Perfect. Same tone, same rhythm, same urgency.
Yeah, someone tell that schmuck that ain't his brother.
Well, that's exactly what he started realizing. And as soon as that thought came to his mind, the voice stopped. And that detail shows up again and again. The voice isn't random, it's targeted. Almost like something knows exactly what will get your attention, but doesn't fully understand how to use it.
Yeah, like something that's trying to mimic you, but can't exactly be you. That's super creepy.
Exactly. Like it understands the sound, but doesn't understand the behavior. And that's where things start to get interesting. Because this idea of something that imitates, something that disguises itself, something that lures you in, isn't new. In fact, most people have already heard of something exactly like this, a mimic. A creature that disguises itself, waits for someone to get close, and then attacks. It doesn't chase you, it doesn't show itself. It waits and lures you in. And here's the question. Why is the mimic designed that way? Why that behavior? Why that method? Because when you compare it to what people report in the real world, it's almost identical. Something that uses familiar shapes and voices as a tactic to override your protective instincts. Something that doesn't force you, but patiently gets you to drop your guard and waits for you to make that one fatal mistake. And that's where this shifts from fiction into something a little more complicated, because there is a real concept in psychology called the collective unconscious. The idea that humans share deep patterns, archetypes, things that show up across cultures even when people have never communicated.
So let me get this straight. A whole bunch of humans who have never communicated, thinking through those thoughts that a creature gets created. If you all were smart, you would use your collective whatever you mentioned to make everyone rich and happy.
Well, not exactly. More like certain ideas aren't exactly learned, but rather remembered. And when you look at it that way, you have to ask a different question. What if we didn't invent mimics? What if they've been here long before humans arrived? Something ancient, something evil, and something that has been studying us since the beginning. And what if all we did was give it a name? Now, there is no documented evidence of a mimic. The information we have regarding the cryptid comes from first-hand reports, mostly anecdotal. Some videos have been posted online of a mimic outside a house in the woods, but I'm pretty sure all those videos have been debunked as fake or AI. There is no physical evidence that something like this exists. Skeptics bring up logical explanations such as sound distortion and isolation causing the brain to fill in the gaps and try to make sense of patterns by putting it in a category such as familiar voices, familiar sounds, and shapes. But even with all that, there's one detail that keeps showing up. Right before people respond to those familiar voices, there's a moment, a hesitation, like something in the back of their mind telling them, don't answer, don't follow. And the people who listen to that voice walk away. The ones who don't, well, their stories have different endings. Because if something out there can sound like someone you trust, then the most dangerous part isn't just what it is, but rather how easily it can get you to follow it.
Well, I guess next time we are out in the woods walking, I hear your voice calling. I'm gonna do exactly what you said. Ignore it and keep going.
That's not exactly what I said. You literally missed the entire point. Well, that's going to do it for tonight's episode. If you enjoyed hanging out with us, please hit subscribe, like, and drop a comment with your thoughts about what you think a mimic is. That stuff really helps the channel grow, and we both really appreciate it. As always, I'm your host Adam. That's Bear. Until next time, be good or be good at it.